It's batch cooking day. Yeah! Today I'm making veggie burgers, and I know it's been a while since I've just turned on the camera when I was cooking so that you could just sit in the kitchen with me and have a little chat. So I thought it was a good day to do that. So I've got my hair pulled back and I've got my Halloween apron on and I'm ready to go. Are you? Good. So today the veggie burgers are not my normal. If y'all been with me for a while, you know I just take leftovers and throw them into the food processor with some beans and make veggie burgers. That's just how I cook because that uses up leftovers and I don't get stuck with a fridge full of leftovers that nobody wants, right? So I'm out of leftovers. Whoa! But I have an overabundance of mushrooms. Store had a sale, they were about to go wonky, and I take advantage of sales whenever I get them. So, a lot of mushrooms. Mushrooms make excellent veggie burgers because they have that meaty texture and feel and flavor. So, great for veggie burgers. So, I'm going to use these. All I do is process everything, put it in a really large bowl. I generally will add some Vital Wheat gluten because that's the way my husband likes them. He packs his lunch every day. So if I were just eating them at home, they could crumble if they got bumped around and it wouldn't be a problem. But he is banging his lunch box around and they have a tendency to not hold up as well if I don't use the Vital Wheat gluten. So he requests I use it so that it's a sturdier patty, and so I do. Now you can leave it out, and that's true with any ingredient I use. Please, if you don't like it or it's not to your taste or you want to be a little more whole foods and less processed, by all means leave that out. It will still taste good. It might even taste better. It will be a lot healthier, and the only difference is that, you know, it may crumble if you pack it in a lunchbox and bump it around. It's not going to have any effect of it if you just make them and serve them for your dinner. Okay? So that's my only thing. Now, if I use any ingredients that you don't like or you're allergic to, feel free to substitute. If you've been with me a while, you know I don't write these recipes out for you. Why is that? Because there is no recipe. I'm teaching you to cook. I'm not teaching you to follow a recipe. Anyone can follow a recipe. I want you to think, what do I like? What flavors do I like together? And if I use something you don't like, substitute it for something else. I want you to think. I want you to learn to cook. Okay? Cooking is an art. It really is. So, what I am using today is, this is a full pound of mushrooms. I've got black beans that I cooked at home and I put in jars in my fridge, and that's about a can of black beans if you want to use cans. I don't because of the added salt. I've got 5 sweet peppers, the little ones. And if I have taught you anything, it is eat the rainbow, right? Eat the rainbow. So we've got all of our colors here. Textures, colors, flavors. I have got 2 small sweet potatoes that I just threw in the microwave to just cook them so that they're soft, because I'm just going to peel those and put it in there. And then I've got a can of beets that I've drained, okay? I popped the top and drained out. I've got some rolled oats. They're organic. And I've got some nutritional yeast, and that's because I buy the fortified one, B12. And, sorry, let me reach behind me here. I've got some flax meal because that gives us our omega-3s. We have to remember that the more we can add those nutrients in where the family can't see them, the better it is. So you will be very, very balanced by adding these things into like a patty that nobody sees. And then, again, I'm using my Vital Wheat gluten. And for spices, I've got garlic and onion powder. I'm just going to use some hot sauce because we like that. And then I'm going to use a little bit of liquid smoke because it gives it that smoky flavor and makes it seem like it's a grilled burger. You don't have to use this if you're opposed to it, but I really like it. Okay, and I apologize for the noise, but I'm going to have to blend this stuff, all right? So I've already washed these. That's why they're in the bowl and not in the package. They're all clean. And I have a really small food processor, so they're not going to fit all in one go. So we're going to have to do 2 separate ones, okay? And I apologize for the noise and the logistics of this, but you want to cook with me? This is how we cook, right? That's too many for this process. Because what's happening is I've got the chopped ones that are getting small, and then there's ones that are not even getting touched. So I'm going to pull some of these chunks out so that I can do it again and the bigger ones. Yeah, I've never replaced this when I became plant-based. You know, when I was just a regular, you know, meat cooker, I didn't use a processor very often. It was just a once-in-a-while thing. And now with plant-based, of course, I use it a lot more often, and I really do need a larger one, but I've just never gotten around to doing that. Because I don't want it to be, I don't want it to turn to mush. I want, let me show you up close. I want that texture in there. If you just turn your processor on and let it go, you're gonna end up with like a mushroom paste. And there's nothing wrong with that. I just want those chunks in there so that it has just the texture of it is what I'm looking for. More like a ground beef would be, you know, if I was making an actual burger patty. Throw a few more in there. We are having a very, very rainy day in Pennsylvania. I don't know what you guys are doing today. Normally it would be a soup day, but I had these mushrooms. My daughter won't eat mushrooms. She calls them poison. She says I'm poisoning her, trying to poison her. Never succeeds because she picks them out of whatever I put them in. So I figured, you know what? Don't let them go to waste and don't let her pick them out. Just put them in hubby's veggie patties that he takes to work, and then I know they're not going to waste. Son will be taking these very soon with him as well, because he's switched jobs and now has to pack a lunch, which I'm really happy about. Yeah, it was great and wonderful. His old boss would buy lunch for everybody every day, but it was fast food crap that I really don't want my son eating, especially on a daily basis. So he switched jobs, has to pack a lunch, and yeah, he's going to be taking veggie patties. All right. So look carefully at this consistency. See, it's like ground beef. And this is a full pound of mushrooms, and you can see this is a big bowl. So I am making a lot of veggie patties. And what I do is I keep 4 or 5 in the fridge in a little Ziploc bag, and then I put the other ones in 4 packs and stick them in the freezer. And then every few days we just pull them out and they're defrosted fresh without sitting too long in the fridge. Okay, now these sweet potatoes, just gonna cut them up, cut them open, and pull out the inside here. I'm just gonna chop them. You know, they're fairly firm, but just chop them up. The insides, taking the peel off. Hope you can see what I'm doing down here. I never bother to look at the camera and see if you can see me. I just go, because I know the videos get long and you all get bored. And you know what? You won't see the finished product if you turn off before it's done. And then I have had issues with the free software that I used to use for making videos, and so I don't piece videos together anymore. I film, you get what I'm able to film in one go. And apologize for that, but it's the way it is. So you will see the actual finished product in the thumbnail picture. And you know what? A veggie patty looks like a veggie patty. You just need to see what goes into it. That's the way I see it. And sweet potatoes, again, great for the vitamin content. It bulks it up a little bit. Having, you know, a starch in there gives it a little more texture, a little more flavor. But I really just want to get as much nutrients into things as I can. Okay, now I'm going to do this can of beets. And why do I put beets? And you're probably thinking, well, I don't like beets. I don't know why she's putting those in. Beets give the color of a red meat burger. And so even if you don't like them, and see I've got a little bit of juice in there. And that's intentional. Put the beets in. Again, you're blending it up and you're putting it in a burger, and no one's going to taste them, but they will see the red color, and it gives that feel of, you know, you're actually eating a burger. And for people who are transitioning, that's a really good thing. And you can't see me down here, but what I'm doing is chopping up these peppers. Taking the tops off and chopping them a little bit smaller so that they can process. I've got my, off camera, I've got my ulu knife and the little round cutting board that comes with it. And I apologize, but I like to show you the main things, and I just can't get it all in the camera range and still be close up enough where you can see me. But you know what chopping looks like, right? So that's okay. I'm sure you don't mind. So we're going to blend this. Okay. And so that the beets are extremely healthy, and if you know anything about your nutrition, every ingredient that you add that's a different color is for a different thing. Now, good job I put my apron on because I just sloshed, and I have an appointment this afternoon, and so I really didn't want to have to change again. So good job I had an apron, because beets stain, and there would have been my dress. Okay, so beets, they are blood red, right? So that's what they're for. They're for your blood. All of your orange and yellow and red, you know, like the peppers and stuff, that's for your eye health. So, good to know these things. And we need, you know, moisture in this, and that's why I left a little bit of that juice in that can. I just drained about half of it out and left the other half. Is you've got to have some moisture to hold these things together. All right, now our beans. And no, I'm not going to drain those. I'm going to leave that little bit of juice in there because, again, need the moisture for the patty. Yes, we're going to smush these up too. Now, almost all the way, because I still want to see a little bit of the beans in there, just again for that texture, that meaty feel, mouth feel, but need that moisture for this patty. So, you know, not quite all the way blitzed, but most of the way blitzed is the way I do that. Okay, and then that's all of this type ingredients, all of our fresh stuff. I'm going to stir it all together really well. And when you say, oh, I made these and they were too wet and they crumbled and they fell apart, that's what the Vital Wheat gluten is for. The Vital Wheat gluten needs that moisture to activate it, and therefore that's why I need so much moisture in this. Now, if you're making it without the Vital Wheat gluten, you would add more rolled oats than what I am going to. The rolled oats also need the moisture because the moisture is going to soak up into the oats and soften them. Okay? So let's do spices first before we put that. We're going to do a little bit of this hot sauce, and again, I really don't measure. I put 3 little swishes. Do you like it really hot? Put more. Do you not like it very hot? Put less. I'm going to do a teaspoon of the garlic powder. I use powder, not salt, because I am on a low sodium diet because of my arthritis and joint pain with my disabilities. Salt makes you swell. It causes inflammation, and so if you are a person with those ailments like I am, avoid salt as much as you can. I'm also going to do a teaspoon of the garlic powder, and if you guys weren't here watching me, no, I wouldn't measure. I would just kind of dump. I'm going to do a couple little dashes of the liquid smoke. And then I'm going to stir this up really well. That liquid smoke gives it just the smell of a charbroiled burger, and it helps, you know, kind of taste like a charbroiled burger as well. Okay, now I'm going to add my nutritional yeast, and I'm going to do 1/4 cup. And again, my family, I put the B12 little gummies on the counter trying to get everyone to consume, and once in a while they'll remember to take them, but most of the time they don't. And so I will hide the nutritional yeast in their food, just like I'm doing right now, and then they will get those nutrients. And as a mom, you gotta do what you gotta do, right? And, you know, even if you're not cooking for kids, if you're cooking for husbands, sometimes husbands are just big kids, and you gotta treat them like that, too. All right, now I'm gonna do a little bit of this flax meal. And again, that's our omega-3s. So if you aren't finding a way to get the omega-3s, flax meal is a great way to do it. Again, hiding it in their food. And that's about 1/8 of a cup, because you really only need a teaspoon a day, but how many days have they gone without it, right? So I'm putting 1/8 of a cup of the flax meal in there, hiding it in plain sight. Flax meal will also, if you were to let that sit, it would make like a vegan egg, and it would kind of gel, which helps hold the patties together. Because the video's getting long, I'm not going to let it sit. I'm just mixing it in. Now, no idea how much vital gluten to put to this, because normally I just don't. But because you all ask, I'm going to try and measure. So I've got a 1 cup here. And I'm going to start with a 1/2 cup. And won't know until I mix. And again, I'm slinging it all over the counter because, you know, it ain't cooking if you're not making a mess, am I right? Okay, and just keep stirring till that's, and really, really scrape the sides. Because with vital wheat gluten, what it does is it's kind of like a glue, and it needs the moisture to activate, and it just kind of holds things together. And that's not quite enough, so I'm going to do another 1/2 cup for 1 full cup so far. Well, how do you know, Tina? How do you know when you got enough? I know that's what you're thinking. So, it's a texture thing. You want to feel like it's gonna hold together when you bake it. If you bake something that's just too wet, it doesn't hold together. You just are heating up mush, right? It goes in mush, it comes out mush. So, if it had a lot of moisture in it, it would start creating these like strings of glue, which I don't know if there's enough moisture in this to actually do that. And I think I didn't put the oats in yet, did I? So that will help. Let's do a 1/2 cup of oats. Now, if you are not using the vital wheat gluten, use 1 cup of oats, because that's a lot of mushrooms, 1 full pound. And if you want to do a smaller batch and just use 8 ounces of mushrooms, you know, all the other proportions would still be about the same. It would be fine. But I need to have a lot of these made, because the more I make and put in the freezer, the less often I have to make them, am I right? All right, now that is starting to look about like I want it to. As soon as I get these oats really incorporated in, I'll show you. Okay, kind of thick. So now, let me make a little bit of room here so I can move you over. Because I want you to be able to see this next bit. I apologize for the wobbliness. And let me just adjust you down. Maybe a little bit more. Oops. I just put water all over my board here. So if you notice I do use the cookie sheet with the silicone mats. You would use parchment paper if you don't have silicone mats, but I really advise you to get them if you don't have them yet. They just are a lifesaver, and you just wash them and reuse them. Wash them and reuse them. So good for the environment, good for your pocketbook, and they just work like nothing else. Nothing sticks to them. So we want to form our patties, and remember, hubby takes these as sandwiches. So the patty needs to be big enough to cover his bread. So if you were going to do these like on a bun, then you would make them the size of your buns, just whatever size that is. Make sure they are thick enough so that they don't dry out. And I've seen that when I first started making veggie burgers, my edges, I wasn't real careful about my edges, and those edges would dry out and they would just crumble. So look at the thickness there. Look at it. Doesn't it look like a raw meat burger? I mean, it kind of does, but this is what I want you to see, is that thickness. And see how I've got really nice shape so that there aren't any little edges kind of sticking out, okay? It looks like one of those pre-formed hamburger patties you see in the grocery store, if you go by that meat aisle, which I don't. I don't even go to that portion of the store. No reason for me to be there, so I don't go there. Okay, now, I know this is getting long and you don't need to see me just make all of these patties. So let me I will do this off camera and I will bake them, and then you will see the final product in the thumbnail. Now this is what I want you to know. If you have missed somehow how to make a perfect veggie burger every time, and I have a video along those lines, my secret trick for that, this is what I do. 375 for 20 minutes. Pull them out, let them cool, and here's your trick. Let them cool. Then flip them over and do them another 15 to 20 minutes. If you don't let them cool before, when you try to flip them, it's just going to be mush, and it's going to fall apart. It's going to fall apart. So let them completely cool, and then you've got a solid patty to flip. And it doesn't take but 10 minutes. And when that's happening, I'm washing dishes, I'm watching a TV show, I'm reading a book, I'm doing housework, I'm doing whatever during that time. It's not a big deal. So batch cooking day really is a day that I take. It's generally on a weekend, but not always. Everybody's at work today, sons at work, husbands at work, daughters at school. Everybody's out of the house. So I can take the day to not be disturbed, film it for you, and make these. So, and with a batch like this, I'm going to be here all day. So just realize that that is a commitment, and that's why I said if you want to just use 8 ounces and make less, or if you're just feeding 1 or 2 people, you may not need as much. You may be a big family and you need all this, and maybe it's not a batch cooking to put up in the freezer. Maybe that's 2 dinners for you. I don't know. But so just be aware of that. But that is the trick to perfect burgers every single time. They won't fall apart. They hold together. You can get them flipped, cook them the rest of the way. You will see what the patties look like when they're finished in the thumbnail picture. Please do give me a like, a thumbs up. Share with your friends for any cooking channels that you may know that may appreciate these recipes. And yeah, if you haven't yet, please do subscribe. Have a good day.